I study violin like every classical violinist. I study how to play what's on the page and how to play it perfect and how to interpret what a composer wants you to play. So for me to separate my whole brain from the paper and from the composer and just do something creative and completely free was intimidating, really intimidating. But I started playing jazz with really good jazz players here in Savannah 12 years ago. And I learned a lot from them and how to just loosen up and actually play outside the paper. But I always had in the back of my head, I want to play gypsy. I really want to play gypsy, the way gypsy jazz and gypsy music is done in Europe. Django Reinhardt was a gypsy, started listening to Louis Armstrong, so he started imitating all this American music in that style, but because he had that language, that European language of different scales, he started combining it all together, and that was what became gypsy jazz.
I grew up with real gypsy music, primordial, primitive, and it's usually played by people with no formal musical education or any education whatsoever. It's taught from generation to generation. Most of them don't read music. It's mostly play acoustic, and the style is very, very physical. As a guitarist, you have to compete with other instruments that are louder, such as violin and accordion. It's much different than American jazz.
Sasha called me on the phone from Cincinnati and said, I'm moving to Savannah. I play this type of music and I'm interested in playing with you. So I was like, great. I mean, this is my opportunity to get actually into the real gypsy stuff.
And 2 days after I moved in, I started playing gigs with Ricardo. Ricardo is a great trained musician, and he picked up from the very beginning, and it's worked out great.
I saw a concert at the Savannah Music Festival in 2010. It was a Hungarian gypsy jazz band. I think it was just like the intensity of the music. It was very hard to play, and that definitely drew me in. Sasha and Ricardo were playing as a duo, and I was working with Ricardo at the time at the music festival. I'd go and see him play, and I just asked if I could come maybe sit in. We had one practice, and then I went and sat in with him.
Ricardo mentioned that there's a friend of his who's an upright bass player who might sit in with us a couple of times, and knowing what Eric played before, I was sort of skeptical, but he really picked it up really quick. I mean, the guy has pretty good ear. He's a funny guy. Too funny for his own good.
Took several gigs. I was playing, I think, twice a week with him without even getting paid. I would just do it just because I wanted to get good at it. It took about 6 months before I felt really comfortable.
Eric is one of the most talented in the band. He has the right feel for it. He has an amazing ear for it. And on the instrument, he gets focused and he just goes.
I grew up in small town Iowa, and my grandmother taught me boogie-woogie piano and honky-tonk piano, which of course then led me to Austin, Texas, where I could play honky-tonk music, and I played with some rock bands, country bands. When we moved here to Savannah, everyone I talked to in town said, "You must talk to Ricardo Ochoa. He knows everything about the music in this town." So I found him, and mostly asking Ricardo what the music scene was like here, and I was in town as a piano player, looking for a gig here or there. And he actually that night invited me to grab my accordion and sit in with them.
Sounded great. He's a great musician, you know, so just right off the bat we knew he was going to be playing with us.
Initially he was playing accordion, and then Ricardo thought, well, why don't we see how he's doing with the piano, because that's what he does primarily.
I saw an interview with Willie Nelson where he said that Django Reinhardt was his favorite guitarist and a huge influence on how he plays. And making that connection with the fact that these guys were playing Django Reinhardt music was amazing. It struck a chord with me. And we started to fiddle around with my honky-tonk playing and the gypsy style and realized they kind of worked together. I brought in a little bit of Western swing and mixed with a little bit of Django Reinhardt, created what we might call gypsy tonk or European redneck music. I don't know, we've called it lots of things.
He's a great singer. He has that opera voice. It's funny how Ricardo uses that. You know? He stands in front of him and pretends that he's singing. So
I grew up in upstate New York on a farm, and we'd have these milk machines, and they would make this rhythmical sound because it was all based on sort of a pressure suction system, and it would just like, and my earliest experiences with percussion was taking like a milk bucket or anything I could possibly find around the farm and just sort of beating out rhythms on it. Up to the time I started playing with Velvet Caravan, I was doing mostly orchestral music. And I really hadn't done too much in terms of jazz bands or small quartets or anything of that nature. And one time I came in to B. Matthews and I saw these guys playing, and I was just totally taken aback by the style that they were playing, this gypsy jazz. And I went up to them and said, "You guys, would you mind? Would you like a percussionist, you know, to come in and play a little bit?" And they were like, "Yeah, sure, we could do something like that." And I was racking my brain as to what to bring in, and it just hit me. I did a show with Doc Severinsen several months earlier, and he brought in this cajon player when we were playing with the Jacksonville Symphony, and I was like, you know what, I think this would go perfect with this. So I actually went on vacation, built a cajon, came back, and we tried it out, and it just clicked. It just worked.
Jesse is probably the best one out of all of us, which you'd never know because he's sitting on a box playing, you know? He's a great composer, very well-known marimba player, plays in the Malaysian Symphony. I looked him up on YouTube, and I couldn't even find him playing. I found like a million other people playing his song.
You know, playing cajon or any percussion instrument in a gypsy group is really hard because the nature of the guitar is percussive already. So we have that element already covered. Jesse started listening to a lot of early drumming in New Orleans style and stuff like that, and he brought an element into the band, and he never gets on the way of the guitar doing the percussion aspect of it. In fact, he improves it.
I'll hold up my bass and Ricardo will hold up his violin and he'll start hitting those. He'll take some awesome solos on the percussion stuff and just the whole crowd starts going nuts after he does it.
This band was formed organically, and the personalities that are involved, it just fits, it's right. And every time people go out, they sense that, they feel it, they know it's something special. I feel it, I think Jared, Ricardo, Sasha, Eric, we all sense it when we get together, and we just have a blast.
I found Velvet Caravan to be a highly creative group, and again, every time we play, we do something new, we do something different, and having that freedom of creativity that I've never had with any other group before, while at the same time having this really amazing level of playing, it's my favorite thing to do.